DMGs that are on YouTube channel. My name is Mike, and like always, we got Gage and Dylan here with us. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and turn that notification bell on so you're notified anytime we upload a video. Now let's jump right into it. Alright, getting into the video here. As you can tell by on your screen, we're going to be doing the worst to first. Basically what that is a team that finished either third or fourth in their division last year, and they were also below 500, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So that is where we each picked a team that we think could possibly either this could potentially happen or we think it's going to happen. That could go from obviously worst to first in their division.
Yeah.
Worst to first is a way to say it, but really, who's going to make the biggest leap, biggest jump from last year? Obviously, we would love to pick the New York Jets because my boy Zach Wilson, everybody knows, headband on for Zach. But unfortunately today, it's not going to be him. Mikey, prematurely, as per usual for himself, clicked the button and he moved it forward. But I'm picking the Detroit Lions. Shout out Lake Erie Bros. So I don't think they have the, quote unquote best chance to win the division, right? Obviously, the Packers are there; they're going to win the division. But I'm going to kind of base this on with my argument that they went 3-13-1 last year, right? And they've gotten so much better in the offseason, and that's not just like on paper; that's just facts. Like they had one of the most talent efficient rosters in the NFL in general, and they went out and did a really good job. They got Aiden Hutchinson at second overall, the best defensive end in the draft because the Jaguars fumbled the bag as per usual. Then they also were able to trade up with a divisional rival and won the trade by we've gone over it a ton.
What was it, like 200 and something points or something like that?
Yeah, something crazy, like a massive margin, and like the margin of like error is like 30 plus or minus 30 is kind of like a fair trade, and they got like 200.
Yeah.
And they got Jameson Williams to help improve that wide receiver core with St. Brown, and also to help that out, they got DJ Chark, who is a good wide receiver, a burner. He is not going to have to worry about being a top target for them, so that improves that wide receiving group. They already have TJ Hawkinson, that gives weapons for Goff to use. They have a very good offensive line. They always have. So now they've got a good offensive line. Yeah, they have since for like the last 6 years.
They've had one good, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not like top 5, but they've always had a above average, better than serviceable offensive line. And they have a good young running back that now I think can probably blow up and eat this year. Crossing my fingers, because anytime you draft a Lions running back in fantasy and expect him to do something, he does absolutely nothing. So don't draft him in fantasy, but I think on the field he'll do a lot better this year, and it helps with that offensive line. And then you got a good weapons around Goff and the running backs.
Are you talking about DeAndre Swift in that aspect?
Yeah, DeAndre Swift. Sorry.
Because I know they also have another running back that's not too bad.
But they also picked up, a backup line, a backup tight end, and Garrett Griffin. They picked up a starting corner for themselves, Mike Hughes. They picked up 2 linebackers, Chris Board and Gerard Davis. And they also signed a safety, Deshaun Elliott. They did re-sign quite a bit of players for themselves. I'll go over the important ones. They did re-sign Josh Reynolds, who was a good wide receiver for them last year. They re-signed their safety, Tracy Walker, which was a really good deal. They re-signed Khalif Raymond, who's also a good wide receiver. So they have a good core that they're going to be able to work around and figure out who's going to work well with Jared Goff. You may not be like the hugest fan of Jared Goff, and I'm not saying by any means that he's a great quarterback, but he's won games before, and he is going to be put in a good situation where he can win games. I think Lombardi is the guy that's talked about it a lot, that you can tell if Jared Goff's going to be good in a game or bad in a game right off the bat. If he gets pressured once and he looked frantic, it's going to be a long game. But if he's able to sit in the pocket for a couple times and then get going, it's going to be a good game for him. So I think that they're going to do a lot better. They fought really hard last year, and they got a 3-13 record, and now you're adding a lot more talent to that roster. I think is going to be a huge improvement. So I think they could finish, potentially they could finish second in their division. The Vikings took kind of a step back, per se, and they have a new coaching staff in there, but I mean, it's not like super realistic, but it's not unrealistic to think that. So that's kind of my argument for first to worst. He got to jump up from 3-13. I think they've got a huge gap that they can increase win total for themselves to get that first to worst kind of quote jumping up.
Yeah, one thing I just want to add is they were definitely in games last year that they just lost. They almost beat the Ravens. They lost to a game
that was garbage. That game was garbage. Delay of game is a penalty, and they do need to call it. Just saying.
Yeah. But my point was saying it wasn't like they were just I could say it in worse terms, but it wasn't like they were just getting destroyed every game.
They were one possession games. I think they lost 6 or 7 one-possession games.
And it was such a big culture shift, too, for them as well. And you could really tell at the end of the year that their culture was starting to catch with people and really kind of show in the win column. And so that's when another thing is just that coach that they have, Dan Campbell.
Yes,
I think he's a good head coach, and I think he's managing that team pretty well. And I think the culture there is changing. And so, yeah, I definitely can see this one happening if any of the first and worst, or worst to first are going to happen.
And quick little shout out before we move on to the next one. They are actually being on HBO's Hard Knocks this offseason. It starts up, I think, in a month. Check it out. It should be interesting. Dan Campbell's he's a character, so it should be fun. But that's all for the Lions. Who's next? Is that you, Mikkel?
That is me. Now I know it says Ravens because I'm lazy, and I don't need some pretty presentated wallpaper to tell you why the Ravens are going to go from last to first this year, and I'm going to do that by straight facts, people.
Question?
What's your question?
I'm curious on why you said that they were going to go worst to first, but then in our AFC North video that you guys should definitely go and watch down, it was one of our most interactive videos and funniest ones. You guys argued with me for 40 minutes about why the Ravens wouldn't win the division. But
I didn't hear you say the Lions were going to take the NFC North, though.
Yeah. Hey, this is what I think potentially could happen, and I think they have the biggest shout at it. So
all right.
They're clearly better than the Bengals and the Browns. So.
Clearly.
That's what I was saying, but no one was listening to me.
I'm just kidding.
No,
So
I'm just
Michael.
shamelessly plugging our old videos.
All right. First of all, they have the best running back in the league, Lamar Jackson. So he just happens to get the ball every play somehow. But we all know MVP Lamar. That dude's a menace. Now, I'm not going to bring up his passing stats at all because you don't want to hear them. Because they're last in the league in passing. But that doesn't matter because when you have a full and healthy Ravens team and you can put out stats where you can be first in every rushing category that there is possible, you can go at 11-5. And then when you have a full defense that will be healthy, that has been added to with the likes of, from last season, Odafe Owe, and then you also have Marcus Peters coming back, and then you have,
Marlon Humphrey's still there.
Yep, Marlon Humphrey's still there. They also signed Marcus Williams. They also drafted Kyle Hamilton, and then they also signed Michael Pierce to that defensive line, and they also drafted Travis Jones out of UConn there to go on that defensive line. They also re-signed Calais Campbell to another deal. You want me to keep going? They also have Tyus Bowser, who isn't a slouch.
They basically drafted everything that I was wanting to draft in Linderbaum, Hamilton.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, hold on that offense, baby. I'm getting there. But if we're really talking about it, the Ravens, the only thing that they're lacking is mainly linebackers. And, I mean, Patrick Queen hasn't really been
Garbage.
Yeah, but there is room for sure in that defense for him to improve. And I think if you're basing it off of last year, the whole Ravens defense was garbage.
Well, Mikey, there's always room for improvement when you're on the floor. The only other way you can go is up.
Yeah.
You can definitely get better.
And their floor is 8 and 9, so.
Yeah. But yeah, they can get way better. And then we flip to the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, like I said, best running back in the league, Lamar Jackson. Just happens to get the ball every play. And then you got his backup, J.K. Dobbins, who they're going to hopefully
really
have.
Piss off a lot of people right now, Mikey.
And then hopefully they're going to have a full, healthy running back group with getting Lamar back and J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards fully healthy. And then you got Mark Andrews, right? Number 1 ranked tight end in the league. Been off Travis Kelce. He sucks. They also drafted, where did it go? Isaiah Likely, too. That's another solid guy that can come in and take reps when and if Mark Andrews ever gets tired. They also drafted Tyler Linderbaum to slot in either at guard or center. Will more than likely be center, but he is hailed as the best center prospect that has ever entered the draft. And then their right side of their line is completely locked down with Moses and Zietler. And then left side could use a little work, but they're serviceable for sure. And the only real lacking part of this team is the receiving core. But who needs a receiving core when you just run the ball? But to mention them anyways, you got Rashard Bateman, Devin Duvernay, and who's this guy? Ooh. James Prochet. Menace. Ooh. Doesn't matter.
Dude, you're going to piss off so many people.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And I'll tell you why. Right now. Because that Ravens running game and that Ravens defense back to full force and full power. Dude, second in point. Okay, I'm going to go off the 2020 stats because you can't count last year. They were playing with body bags out there basically, and guys that they were pulling out of the hospital beds to come play for their game. Second in points held. 7th in yards held. 7th for the average per play. They were 8th in holding them to the run. They were 9th in holding them to the pass. And they were also 2nd on the pass average for their team. They were 6th in holding them on first downs or whatever. Like, they only had 96 first downs gained on them that whole year. They were 6th. And they were 1st in every rushing category on offense. Last place in every throwing category, but that doesn't matter.
Since we're just going full heel on the Lamar Jackson crap, apparently, for this video, even though we've talked about how elite he is as a quarterback in general, what if they just put J.K. Dobbins on the bench, right? You bring in Huntley to start as quarterback because, he did pretty well, and then Lamar Jackson at running back, and boom, you got the duo of Huntley and Lamar in the backfield at once. Who's the ball getting snapped to?
No, the ball has to get snapped to the running back every play, and that's Lamar. So you might as well just have him out there anyways with J.K. Dobbins. Okay, and we talked about Lamar being elite because he's elite at running the ball and also being able to extend with his legs. He can extend the play, act like he's going to throw, and then he's going to take off anyways. So he's elite in that category, and we saw how elite he was in 2020 with all this.
The opinions of Michael does not reflect that of his peers in this video.
Okay, I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? Go on here and say that, yeah, Lamar Jackson can throw the football. That's just not possible, my boy. He's last in every category. I can only hype him up so much.
because he doesn't have a top receiver, Michael. He's never had any weapons to help him.
He's got the best tight end in the freaking in the NFL.
And look what he does with that tight end. Can you imagine if he had like a
in
a good wide receiver?
in 2020
first round wide receiver that they traded away because they couldn't get the ball.
Oh, don't
to
worry,
him.
they have another one. His name is Rashad Bateman. Don't worry, they got one. First round wide receiver, they got one. Dude, but Lamar Jackson's 2,700 passing yards in 2020. Guess who they all went to? Mark Andrews. It's fine. It's totally fine. 2,700 passing yards. You're totally good for the year. But that doesn't matter when all you need is a run game. All you need is a run game in the AFC North.
Yeah.
AFC North. Those teams have good secondaries. Guess what? They don't really have good defensive lines. But you know who does have the good defensive line? The Ravens. You know who has a good secondary? The Ravens.
Okay.
And this is why. The Ravens, because I'm lazy, will go from worst to first. Mark my words.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Moving on to the final guess and definitely least. Dylan. I mean, not least.
Oh.
Mess up there sometimes. My bad.
Oh man. Okay. So, first of all, let's take in the beauty of this presentation that I put together. First off, you got the sunshine.
Looks like.
You got sunshine in the corner for Mr. Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence. And then you can see how the Jaguars built the wall. And that's what I'm going to base this presentation off of. But first off, I got to say real quick that if we're going to talk about worst to first, we're going to talk about teams that actually have come close to that. The Ravens don't go from worst to first; they go from average to first in their
Hey,
we
were just going off of divisions, baby. We were just
The-
going off of divisions,
Dylan,
baby.
The Detroit Lions have only gone from worst to even worse, so they don't have a whole lot of experience being in the first. But let me tell you,
All right, why don't you just open your mouth and let Zach Wilson give you a kiss, huh?
in their 27 years of experience, they have had more 12 and like double-digit loss seasons than the Ravens, but they've also had more double-digit win seasons than the Lions because they go, let's see here, 3-13 to 10-6 when they went into the playoffs, and then they also went from 4-12 in 1995 or the first year. Within the next 5 years, they had 3 double-digit win seasons. So
You weren't even born yet.
exactly, I mean, actually, I was born before they were born, so I got some ground to stand on here. But in all reality, that was just for the fun of it. But when I'm looking for a team to go from first to worst, I'm looking for a quarterback that has the potential to put the team on its back.
Lamar.
Trevor Lawrence had the worst head coach of all time last year, Urban Meyer.
No.
It's pretty hard to beat Freddie Kitchens.
Hugh Jackson.
Okay, Hugh Jackson. Okay.
One.
Okay.
Okay. Not
Okay.
let that guy get away with that.
Okay. Second worst coach of all time. But anyways, point is, Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion, got severely handicapped by Urban Meyer. You got Doug Peterson coming in. Yeah. Doug Peterson is coming in. He's got a year off from what happened in Philly. And I think people have kind of realized that it was more of a Wentz problem than it was a Peterson problem. You got a head coach. Yeah. You got a head coach that has won a Super Bowl, has had shown progress in his quarterbacks. And then also, you have a lot of talent on that roster that's young, but you also have some key positions that have veterans that are, able to kind of hold the ground when they're, when they're having the rough games that they're going to have. Yes.
Question. Why did you say that how they built the wall instead of now they're going to walk to first and instead put Kirk instead of, like Lloyd or something, Christian Kirk, because he's the best wide receiver.
That was the first one I came up with. Yeah. But
He's got paid the most.
Well, so basically, when we've seen teams go from worst to first, I'm thinking of the Bengals last year, right? Um,
Yeah.
I would say the the Colts didn't get to. They just got to the playoffs, but they went from 2-14 to 11-5, I think, that year, and
And peep
then
and peep our video for this. Like this, we're gonna do this video again next year, and the
yeah,
Colts will be on this list because they're gonna be really
yeah,
bad this year, and then they're
yeah,
gonna be able to expand that next year.
yeah. So, but yeah, so real, like being real though, like you're looking for a quarterback that can make a tremendous growth from one year to the next, and then you also have to have a flood of young talent. So, one,
Lamar.
you have the Jaguars. I know people say that Hutchinson is the best edge rusher compared to Trayvon Walker, but Walker's not a pure edge rusher. He was never really only lined up, wide nine or whatever an edge setter like Hutchinson was. They played different positions, and with Walker is he has a true NFL body and athleticism, and he's going to be more of a disruptor, which is going to help Josh Allen, the edge rusher, not the quarterback, help him out become. I think he'll have a hell of a year with people have to worry about Trayvon Walker on that line. And then they also added Devin Lloyd and one other linebacker. Um, I need to find that. Chad Muma, who's another big hitting linebacker. So they're going to have some free lanes to get after the quarterback as well.
Do they still have Chase on as well? Clevion Chase on?
Yeah, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's a premier player for him. He's just someone that could become a good player
I
potentially.
was just curious
Yeah,
because that's just another good player to add to the edge group.
yeah.
I was wondering if he was still there, if he was at the Falcons.
Well, and then the other thing too, I'll say, obviously they overpaid for Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, but they have weapons now in Jacksonville, which they haven't had. They've had to rely on Laviska Shenault and some other, just wide receivers that just aren't all that they need to be. And then the one thing that really stuck with me, why I chose the Jaguars, and the Colts just got beat to hell by them. They didn't have Urban Meyer, and you could tell that there was an attitude shift that game, and that's something to build on. Even though it's one game, the play that sticks in the back of my mind as well is Lawrence fumbled the snap. He got the ball, turned around, and threw a fadeaway pass to the back of the end zone for a touchdown. And that was like the real dagger into the Colts season last year. And a quarterback that can do that with as bad as a team last year and a interim head coach and everything like that, that to me shows a quarterback that has potential to have that Joe Burrow, that Andrew Luck season where they take the team on their back and they're going to win games that they're not supposed to win. And I think Lawrence can make that happen more so than some of the other quarterbacks. But that's who I would choose, just for all that I've said about it.
You hit on it. I think I agree with the Doug Peterson. Uh, like, not signing, but
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like bringing him in.
yeah, I don't know what you
It's a
would call
signing.
it.
Head coach signing.
Coaches.
Yeah, it's a head coach signing.
But like, you don't need like the 30-year-old that was a offensive whiz that you can hope they can turn into your Shanahan or your McVay, right? Like, people keep trying to like replicate that stuff, and it's not really gonna happen, right? Like, you'll maybe like once every 15 you'll hit, but this guy's a good coach. He's a stable coach. He's got multiple years of winning under his belt. Like, I think that's a really good pickup, because you don't need some offensive guru to do this. You need somebody that can get these young guys, this young team, and teach them this is what professionals do. This is how we are supposed to do it. Especially after that like influence that was there all last year, where I guess it was acceptable to lose, not go home with your team, and go finger a girl's butt. Like, that
Yeah,
was like
okay,
the
yeah.
example that was being set. So you get a guy. I thought that Peterson though was a really good thing.
Yeah. And
That's
I mean, I was looking through it and there's a lot of teams that I just feel like they didn't make too much of a shift like that. I think the Lions is another one that like he brought up that have made a shift, that they're on the bottom rungs of the NFL right now, but they can win games that they're not supposed to win tomorrow or next year. And then the thing with Doug Peterson that you reminded me of is he's from the Andy Reid coaching tree. He was with Andy Reid for a lot of years, and so I think that's kind of led to some of this as well. But Trevor Lawrence, I don't think he was the best rookie quarterback last year, but he has an arm. He's got a lot working for him, and I think they'll utilize him in a way that they're going to start winning games that they're not supposed to.
And he plays very similar to the way Carson Wentz did when Carson Wentz was legit.
Yeah.
A lot of that little RPO, quick action.
Move the pocket.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if there's somebody that's going to help him improve or get the game of the NFL down, I think Doug Peterson was a really good choice.
Yeah.
But that's it for the end of our video. If you guys have made it this far, we do appreciate it. Make sure you guys hit that like button and then smash that subscribe button. We are on the road to 100 subscribers. We're actually really close. I think we're at 80, 81 at the moment. So if you guys hit that subscribe button, we'd really appreciate it. And then drop a comment down below who you guys think is the best outcome for worst to first.
And tell me why it's the Ravens.
Yeah. And then and obviously we weren't picking, like the 49ers who finished third but went to the playoffs, or the Chargers who finished third but had a good chance to move up, or like the Broncos who were obviously we try to stay away from the supreme obvious ones, because we could all pick the Broncos and it would be a fair pick. But
yeah.
Other than that, I've got nothing else to say. What about you boys?
One love. Peace out.
Yeah, one love. We got more videos coming out. We're gonna start doing each team's off-season review, so definitely keep your eye out for that as well. It's gonna be in the works here shortly. Yeah.
That's good. All right, y'all. Peace out.
See ya.